Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome back to Thornton Farm. This is Thornton Farm episode number 17, and we are just finishing up cultivation in field number 12. As I have more or less set the stage early in the map series anyways, that we would be basically getting these fields turned around as quickly as possible and planting oilseed radish in these fields to take advantage of a more green farming technique that Mr. Thornton wants us to do, because basically it's some policies in the county here regarding chemical fertilization. And so we just want to make sure that we didn't miss a spot right over here, and we'll just touch this up. And then we're going to head back to the main farm, and we're going to get in the John Deere, the big John Deere tractor, which is already connected to the seeder from what I believe is the case, because Thomas went over there and took care of that for us. Let's go ahead and fold this guy up here. I really like this cultivator. This is a wonderful cultivator for tight fields, for fields like Thornton Farm, for fields that are not square, or are not perfectly square or rectangle with a lot of room at the end of the fields and everything. It's a really ideal thing. I'll show it to you right quick in the store if you want, if you're interested. Let's see, these are the Lemken compactor series, and let's see, I believe we're using the K600 here. So you'll find a link to the mod where you can download it from my mod spreadsheet if you go to grizzlybearsims.com. Again, that's grizzlybearsims.com. Look at the top of the website. You'll see a link for add-ons and mod directory, and you'll find, you click on that, and then that will open up a Google document spreadsheet. And then at the bottom of that Google document spreadsheet, you'll see some tabs that basically a tab for each of the simulation-based games that I enjoy playing, and you'll find a tab for those. And then we'll go ahead and set our parking brake and shut this thing off, and one of the boys will need to obviously fill that guy back up before they get started there. So we're going to get in our trusty 8530 here, because well, it's got the horsepower to do this job a little bit better, I think. And we'll spin our camera around here. So I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Let's see, you guys are going to be watching this episode on the 5th of January. So I'm still putting together a little bit of a queue or a backlog of videos, just so that I can continue to put things out in a pretty timely manner. Today happens to be, in the real world, today happens to be the morning of Christmas morning. So no, I'm not going to be playing video games all day on Christmas Day, but the house is quiet, the wife is still asleep, and so let's see, is that a Royal Air Force jet? No, that's a bird. That's a bird that has signed up for the Royal Air Force, I suppose. Anyway, we're going to go up here to the northernmost field number 12, and basically get started. And we're gonna seed this field in oilseed radish. As you can kind of tell, let me just kind of bring up the progress bar here for us so we can kind of see what's going on. As you can tell, we first harvested the wheat off 13 and 12, and then the canola off of 8 and 9. And basically the rest of our crops are still a wait and see on our soybeans, our sunflowers, and our corn over here in field number 29. So hopefully those will come in relatively soon. Of course, we've got rain in the forecast that could basically start at any point in time, I suppose. And well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose. So we're gonna, let's see, we're gonna basically do a headland, I believe. We will back up here. Anyway, hope everyone is having a really wonderful 2018, a really wonderful new year. I don't know how the new year is going to be treating me at this particular point in time, because it's still 2017 for me. As I said, it is basically Christmas morning, and so the wife and I spent Christmas Eve, wonderful Christmas Eve, and cooked most of the afternoon. We sort of have our Christmas dinner, or well, our Christmas dinner is I suppose multiple parts. I suppose we usually have our Christmas dinner on Christmas Eve, and then we will eat leftovers for lunch on Christmas Day, and then still have enough left over for Christmas dinner, or the evening meal, Christmas supper. And so that is just kind of the way it goes. And we have our traditional holiday dinner, which happens to be turkey. We get like a small turkey breast. We usually get a couple of those, depending on the size and the weight and everything. But usually we get the boneless breast roast, and those are quite nice. And we get those, and then of course we have dressing, and I do deviled eggs. The deviled eggs and the turkey are the two components that I typically cook, and so we will do that. I will do that. My wife, she will bake a pie. She did that in the morning, and then more or less everything else just kind of falls into place. A few other things, some roasted potatoes, some gravy, pretty much the whole flair there, and bacon wrapped sausages, and yeah. So it's just it's a wonderful kind of routine that we have, and we quite enjoy it. And of course, we opened our presents on Christmas Eve. That has been a tradition with my family for as long as I can remember. Basically, as a child, we always opened presents on Christmas Eve. Santa Claus obviously came, the night of Christmas Eve, in the wee hours of the morning on Christmas Day, and then of course we had dinner on Christmas Day and everything. Usually, when I was a kid, usually our Christmas Eve meal was just kind of lighthearted. Usually, well, I guess as I was older, we kind of had a Tex-Mex theme where we would do usually buy some tamales, and cook up nachos, and usually have some chili, kind of depending on the weather and everything. Have some chili and that kind of stuff, and then of course the Christmas Day meal was always the traditional turkey and dressing and deviled eggs. And when I was younger and I had both sets of grandparents, or at least I had both grandmothers still alive, we would often go and have Christmas dinner or Christmas lunch with one grandmother, and then have Christmas dinner with the other. And man, I tell you, that was just wall-to-wall eating. But what fun it was, and of course all the memories and everything are stuff that I will cherish for a lifetime. So anyway, but like I said, I hope that 2018 is going well for you. And like I said, hopefully it will go well for me. I will have to update you all later down the road, of course, and I will let you know how it all worked out. So we are getting these fields turned around as quickly as possible, and kind of taking advantage of the weather patterns. Of course, we could, and we most likely will, seed tomorrow. Either that or spread some manure. We'll do something on these fields. The weather forecast at this particular point in time is not calling for an excessive amount of rain, so we should still be able to work our fields. We'll just have to see. The last thing I want to do is get tractors stuck and have it be more work than it is, than it's worth it. But I think as long as we don't tear up the fields too much, I think we can get in here and continue getting our fields prepped. And of course, that is as soon as we get the harvest off the fields, we are spraying with liquid manure, with slurry, and then we're coming along and cultivating that in, and then we're coming back in and putting down the oilseed radish. And then that gives us, and at the time that we're putting down the oilseed radish, we are applying a chemical fertilizer. This will be our one chemical fertilization step that we will use for next year's crops. And then of course in the spring we'll come along and we will basically cultivate this oilseed radish under, and then come in and replant our crops, whatever they're going to be. We don't plant a winter crop here in this area of England, and so we'll redo all of our planting again next spring, more or less just like we did this spring. So that's kind of how we do things around here. That's how Mr. Thornton always did things, and other than having to kind of adapt and adopt some new philosophies regarding our fertilization stuff, this is working out quite nicely. So I think what we'll do is we'll do our instead of doing north and south, I think we need to do east and west. Do our east and west runs, because that's the longer portion of the field, and that will end up being less turns in the long run. So as this is the first episode that you guys are watching of Thornton Farm after Christmas, or at least that I have recorded technically after Christmas, and it's like I said, it is the morning of Christmas Day. I'll have maybe an hour and a half or so this morning before the wife wakes up. I'll just go ahead and ask the questions. What all did you guys get for Christmas? Did you get anything cool? Did you get anything sort of gaming related? Any sort of new hardware for your PC, graphics cards, controllers, any new games, maybe Steam gift cards, things like that? Let me know in the comments section. Let me know what you all got. I can go ahead and talk about the presents that I received, because obviously it is the morning of Christmas Day and we opened our presents last night, Christmas Eve. I got a few woodworking tools. I got a new Makita orbital sander that is quite nice. I had been using an older palm sander, and typically the stuff that I'm sanding right now that I'm making are my cutting boards and a few other little odds and ends that have like flat surfaces and stuff like that. The sanding of the pens and pencil sets, all that's done on the lathe. But I did need a little bit nicer, a little bit more powerful, better dust collection is the other thing that I'm really keen on when I look at tools, hardware and stuff, is what sort of dust collection does it have. And so this is a really nice orbital sander. It has the sanding discs basically attach with Velcro and or hook and loop, I should say, since technically the term Velcro is a brand name, kind of like Kleenex, even though it's sort of the industry known saying. Anytime we need a tissue, we typically say, hey, do you got a Kleenex? Regardless of what brand it is, and kind of the same way with this. But anyway, got that. Got a few other woodworking tools. Got a handheld moisture meter. So it basically has a couple of prongs on it, and you can insert it into a piece of wood, put the two prongs into a piece of wood, and determine the moisture content of that piece of wood. So this will basically come in handy for me, because I have picked up a few pieces of wood just sort of laying around that has fallen out of tree limbs and stuff that have come down after a storm or whatnot. And basically some of that, I've got a few pieces of oak that I picked up in Texas when we were down for Thanksgiving. I've got a few pieces of cedar that I picked up from down there as well. And just some other odds and ends that I have around here. I had a fruit tree, an apple tree, that died last year, and so cut it up and sealed it and everything. And so this way I can check the moisture content of these pieces of wood before turning. And so typically I would use these, either make pens out of, or make some other, I want to get into like turning bowls and vases and stuff like that. So got that, and let's see, what else did I get? I got some pajama long pajama bottoms. Typically during the winter time, it is cold here in Denver, and myself, I enjoy coming home from work when I'm working in the office, coming home from work, taking a quick shower, and slipping into some flannel pajama bottoms and a sweatshirt or something, and just spending the afternoon in my lazy boy watching movies or something with my wife. And so got a pair of those. Got some movies, some DVDs of some of our favorite British television that we enjoy watching, some stuff that we didn't have that we wanted to add to our collection. So got that, and I think that's about it. That's the things that kind of hit me off the top of my head. I suppose that I sort of, if I bought myself anything for Christmas, I'll call it Farmer's Dynasty. I picked it up just before Christmas, a couple of days before Christmas. I've talked a little bit about my experiences with Farmer's Dynasty on Midtown USA. So I'm not going to, or at least I don't think I'm going to do a series on Farmer's Dynasty, simply because there's a lot of people that's doing videos on Farmer's Dynasty, and of course that's never stopped me before, but pretty much you're kind of locked into kind of doing things the same way for kind of everything, and it's the same map obviously, and it's kind of the same work, the same steps and everything that need to be taken care of. And so I'm just kind of playing through. I'm considering Farmer's Dynasty, at least right now, to be just for my personal enjoyment. That way I can sort of concentrate on the game. I can play the game. I can follow its progress. I can sort of follow its early access progress, and of course I'll update you all on some of that stuff as things begin to happen. But I don't have to worry about putting together a series. And plus, if I want to continue to do 2 Farm Sim 17 maps, adding a third element to this, trying to remember what I've done, what I need to do, etc., that can kind of become a little bit of a chore for me, because I'm more or less then having to sort of juggle all this stuff in my head and trying to remember, okay, well, it's been a couple of days since I've played this game or recorded this game. What do I need to do? Where did I leave the storyline off, etc.? And so again, I think for now Farmer's Dynasty is just going to be something that I'm going to play. I will certainly share any and all of my experiences, good, bad, ugly, everything with you. Try not to dominate an entire episode talking about it, but hey, it is what it is, and I do enjoy sharing information with you all about the hobby, about stuff that's affecting the simulation-based gaming community, because I know that you guys care about this kind of stuff. I certainly care about it, and like I said, I enjoy bringing you that news and information. And I guess it sort of brings me to the days before I started doing YouTube, when I pretty much only blogged. And I blogged about various simulation-based games. Mainly got my start with Flight Sim, but then sort of transitioned into some of the other games that I do. And if you go to grizzlybearsims.com, that is my website. That is my blog site. It's a WordPress It's a self-hosted WordPress install that I run on my server. And I have recently, now I don't know if I'll get a chance to write another article or post something, but if you go out there I think on Friday, the Friday before Christmas, I think that would be like the 22nd, I think, or maybe the 21st, something like that. I did write a piece, sort of an update piece on an article that I had written about a year before, when I had sort of predicted that 2017 would be the year of farming, simply because we were supposed to have all these, 2017 was supposed to see all of these different farm agricultural based simulation games coming to fruition, including cattle and crops, including Pure Farming 17, Pro Farmer, etc. And so it was kind of an article just to kind of update and say, well, 2017 didn't shape up to be the year of farming, but maybe 2018 actually will. And of course, like with the title Pure Farming 17, they simply just changed their name to Pure Farming 18, and they're supposed to come out with their product sometime in March or April. At least that is what the Steam page says. That's when their title will come due. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, what they come to market with, and how it differs from the other stuff that has either they've tried to bring to market or they plan to bring to market or whatever. I would think that that anyone who is sort of has plans to bring to market a agricultural based simulation game of sorts, whether it be something that is supposed to be as robust as Cattle and Crops was believed to be, or Pure Farming 18, or even Farmer's Dynasty, that they would first have spent some time playing what they should consider to be at that particular point in time the best of breed, the best in class, which obviously would be Giants Farm Sim 15 and 17, depending on when they started their development cycle for their game. That's a no-brainer, and they should at least incorporate some of the stuff, some of the same features and stuff that Farm Sim 17 has, because again, that's kind of what folks enjoy, and then enhance that. So with regards to Farmer's Dynasty, and again, if you watched Midtown USA episode number 7, I think it was, I spent a pretty large portion of that episode talking about Farmer's Dynasty and talking about my experiences with that particular game title. And I will just say that I'm impressed with it on one hand, and I have a lot more questions than I really have answers, I suppose. That's something that I had said during that episode, and I think it really just boils down to seeing what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and I guess the major disappointment that I have, and it's more or less one of the same disappointments that I had with Cattle and Crops, was the fact that they released a agricultural based simulation game where probably 80%, 75% of what you're going to be doing on a regular basis anyways is going to be driving, and they released that without any real robust third-party controller support. So that's kind of disappointing, because I think that I'm concerned that game developers don't understand the importance of offering robust controller support in their in their titles. I'm concerned that they think that it's acceptable to put out a product and not offer hardware controller type support, because with Farmer's Dynasty, just until just a few days ago, and of course I'm recording this episode on Christmas Day, so you guys are watching this episode 10 12 days down the road. But up until just a few days ago, the developers with Farmers Dynasty was not sure that they were going to basically offer support for third-party controllers like the Logitech wheels and pedals and stuff like that. Now they have since changed their mind. I think that enough people basically said, well, I tell you what, with controller support, you'll get my money. Without it, I will skip it, because it's just, it's not. You could put out the super, the best game, the best agricultural based game known to man, but if you don't put controller support in, then basically you're not going to get my money, and that's what some of these people were actually saying. So I'm going to basically give me another little bit more room down here on the end to turn around, and we will just kind of continue. Got a few more minutes here, folks. I will let you all go in the normal allotted time. I will just tell you all that I do appreciate you guys watching my videos. Obviously, many of you watched my Christmas Eve message that I put out yesterday on Christmas Eve, of course, and I appreciate the comments and the feedback and everything that I received from that. And yeah, it was just a basic message. I wanted you to focus more on the message than on the video content, so that's kind of why I just went with a simple title slide without any moving parts or anything like that, because I wanted you to listen to the message that I wanted to say. And I appreciate you guys listening, watching, listening, and I appreciate your friendship. I've got so many wonderful friends that I have met through this hobby, through my since the time that I began producing YouTube content, and that is just incredible. And I appreciate you guys watching my videos, visiting my blog, reading my blog postings and everything. And I realize that blogging and the written form of communication is somewhat outdated in this whole new media kind of world with either audio podcasts or video stuff. But it's a good, for me, it's a good forum. I enjoy reading blogs because I can do that pretty much anywhere. I can read blogs if I'm on an airplane. I can read blogs if I'm take a few minutes and on a nice pretty day and go outside. I can take my tablet with me, and I can download the blogs that I typically read and enjoy and have those right at my fingertips. And so I do tend to neglect my blog and my writing and everything simply because I focus so much of my energy on video. But I'm going to try to make that a New Year's resolution for me. And of course, again, you guys are watching this video in January already, and I'm still in December, still in 2017. But that is going to be one of my plans, hopefully, to try to do a little bit better job of keeping my blogging and everything going. So what I'm going to do is essentially, this is going to kind of wrap things up for this game day. I'm going to finish this off camera. We're going to have rain tomorrow. That is pretty much a guarantee according to weather forecasters. So hopefully tomorrow the rain will come, and I'm hoping that we can continue to do our field work. We may do some more seeding in the next episode. It just kind of depends, or maybe take care of the animals or do something. But we'll at least have one episode in that Sunday game day. And then I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'm hoping that either the sunflowers or the soybeans or the corn come in for Monday the 4th, or worst case scenario the 5th, and that's just going to be a super long day. Because the rest of the fall we've got rain, so we really need for the rain to be light coming in on Sunday, tomorrow, and then of course we need our crops to basically be ready to harvest on Monday morning. So fingers crossed if that happens. All I can say is it's kind of like a Who Shot JR cliffhanger, I suppose. You'll have to tune in to find out if it all works out that way. So until then, I will just go ahead and say thank you all so much for watching my channel, watching my videos, reading my blogs, all that kind of stuff. I will remind everyone that if you see a mod in my game that you would like to have for yourself, I keep an extensive mod spreadsheet that's available, but every single mod that I play with is on that spreadsheet. I rarely play with mods that aren't available for the general public. I guess my exception to that is if something is coming out very, very soon. My apologies that Midtown USA, as of the time that I record this episode in December, still isn't available for download, but I hope that changes very soon. Hopefully by the time you see this, it's been out for some time, because I'm hoping that it does come out before the end of the year. But that is sort of my policy, and all those mods are listed there for you guys to enjoy. It's quite an extensive list, and you might see a mod in one video that you don't, or one series that you don't see in another. I do try to mix things up and keep things fresh and keep things real for you. So anyway, without further ado, I need to go ahead and say goodbye, and I will thank you all again for watching. Take good care of yourselves, take good care of each other. God bless you all. We'll see you down the road. Bye-bye.